Deepa Soul is an accomplished performer in many ways, actually. She's a singer-songwriter, musician, and dancer. She's actually a 3-time top 5 Billboard chart-topping independent recording artist. She's a lead dancer in the African Ballet Company, and she heads up her own 18-piece band, the Live Soul Orchestra. Now she's planning a live album recording at the Carver Theater this month, which sounds super cool, and she's here to tell us all about it. Girl, what don't you do?
I did everything.
It sounds like it.
Yes.
So this live recording sounds really cool. Why decide to record your album live?
Well, you know, this industry is kind of like watered down the music industry a lot, you know, to beats. And I love beats. Beats are great. I mean, I've been an EDM artist and dance music artist, and that's all great, electronic music. But as a musician growing up here in New Orleans, you know, I think it's important that we have live musicians, masters of their instruments on stage, like you had Curtis Mayfield and Barry White and, you know, Roberta Flack and Patrice Rushen. You know, it's like that art has lost itself in the industry somehow. And so I just want to make sure we, as this generation, preserve the culture of live music and performance.
Great. So what are we going to expect if people go to the show to hear the album?
Well, they're going to get the full wall of sound. So we'll have strings and horns and keys and organ and percussion and drums and background vocals. I mean, live. No performing where I got my background vocals on the track and my strings on the track and my horns on the track and then I'm performing. It just feels kind of like, you know, so I feel like giving young people in this generation an exposure to artists who actually play the music from top to end. We don't need to use electronic stuff all the time. We can actually analogically perform and make it happen.
I love that, and just give it to them genuine like it is.
This soul music is being sampled so much, and so I just said, you know, these kids are attracted to it, but maybe they need to be exposed to how it really comes together so that they can not just only sample, but be inspired to learn how to play the music too.
Very nice. How did you get your start in the music world?
My dad was a musician, my mom was a musician, and so of course, you know, it kind of just happened. And then of course, going to St. Mary's Academy, 7th grade through 12th grade, I had great music teachers, Mr. Allen and then Mr. Jackson and Mr. Wilson.
Such a New Orleans girl, shouting out your high school teachers.
Yes.
I love
you know,
it.
And just, you know, being inspired, being a musician and marching in the parades every year.
Yeah.
You know.
Just kept that music in you.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you hope people get out of your music?
I hope that they get the feeling of, well, my whole goal is to kind of give a rebirth of love of music, love of people, love of our culture. And, you know, just kind of stay true to soul, R&B, and rock and roll, because rock and roll did come from us. You know, so I want them to come away with a musical journey, learn some history, and just know where it all came from. And I also want people to know that I'm proud to be from New Orleans. And a lot of times they try to peg me and say, oh, she's from New York. And I'm like, no.
I claim New Orleans, I'm from New Orleans.
All this funk and stone came from New Orleans.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it
Tell
did.
me about the name. You go by Deepa Soul. Why is that?
Deepa, name instrument of divine light and truth. It was a name offered to me some years ago when I lived in Santa Cruz, and I was a dance instructor for professional kids. And there was a lawsuit that happened with these kids, and one of them was, you know, molested by one of the school's sons or whatever. It was really a hard case. But what came out in the end was I felt bad that I had to do what I had to do, CPS. And, you know, when a kid tells you someone's doing something, you have to tell. And so, of course, it was an ordeal. And I kind of thought, I don't want to teach anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And then my yoga instructor gave me a letter one day that said, Deepa, instrument of divine light and truth. And she says, although it might have seemed hard, you know,
it was you were meant to be there to do that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I just added soul to the end because I have soul.
You got the soul and you put it all together.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you very much for being here, Guy. Deepa Soul's live album recording again takes place Saturday, September 16th at the Carver Theater at 8 p.m. And to keep up with Deepa, you can visit her website. It's deepasoul.com. Well, that is all for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, we've got a song by Deepa Soul. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow night at 9 for more of the 504.
I go out by myself and I look across the water and I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. Since I come on home, girl, my body's been a mess, and I miss your curly hair and the way you like to dress, baby. Won't you come on over? Valerie, Did you have to go to jail and put your house on up for sale? Did you get a good lawyer? I hope you didn't catch a tan. I hope you found the right man who'll fix it for you. Well, are you shopping anywhere? Change the color of your hair, and are you busy? And did you finally pay that fine? That one you were dodging all the time, and are you still dizzy? Well, since I come on home, girl, my body's been a mess, and I miss your curly hair and the way you like to dress, baby. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Come on, Sister Valerie. Yeah, Valerie. Valerie, yeah. Sister girl, Valerie. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I